What's up guys, Gaming Joe here, back in another video. Today's video is what if Izzy and Katie never swapped teams. So this suggestion was made by Jacob, Ab, Jacob, Babby, dash WP 5CO. I hope I said your name right, so thank you for your suggestion. And this is an interesting one because it would change a lot of character interactions in the series. Episode 1's just introduction to the teams. Episode 2, so this is the episode where they have to make the hot tubs. So, DJ wouldn't jump, Courtney doesn't jump, Izzy would still jump. Katie and Sadie probably wouldn't jump now because they're not on the same team. Or I could see a scenario where they actually jump, even if we're BFFLs, we'll still jump. We'll always be together. So I could see a scenario where Katie still jumps, but I don't think I feel like they probably wouldn't jump because they're on different teams. But I'm gonna say the Gophers already win this challenge because I don't think Izzy would have enough leverage for me to believe that the Bass wouldn't still lose. Because Izzy and Katie would still swap teams, it wouldn't affect Ezekiel getting eliminated. So the first few episodes wouldn't really change. Episode 3, this is Eva. And Heather does her MP3 player play. She makes the alliance in this episode, and because of that, Eva loses it. And because of that, Eva sadly would still get voted off. Episode 4 is Dodgeball. Noah decides to be lazy and doesn't compete. So he's voted off again. Not Quite Famous. This is the talent show. I do want to point out episode 4, the Bass would probably do a bit better till they woke up Duncan because they have Izzy on their team. She'd be quite fast. So, Not Quite Famous. So Katie probably would also be in this alliance with Heather, as she would be easy to manipulate, or I could see her just being with Justin. But now would Heather be able to convince Katie to vote Justin off? So she get Owen, and what must have happened here is originally it was a tie, which I found bizarre. Like, when you actually think about this for a second, LaShawna, Justin, Trent, and Cody all vote for Heather. But then Heather, Beth, Lindsay, Owen, and Izzy all voted for Justin, but that would only cause a tie. So what I must assume has happened is Cody voted for Trent. And I will make that I will make that a what if Trent was voted off in episode 5 instead of Justin. But I think Heather could convince Katie to vote off Justin, even though she likes Justin. And even though, like, Owen liked Justin, for example, and Heather was able to convince him, so I think Katie could also be convinced. So Justin would still get eliminated. Episode 6. This is the Sucky Outdoors. So now we get some actual changes in the timeline of the first few episodes didn't affect Katie. Now that Katie and Sadie are on different teams, they're not getting lost in the woods together, so they're all with their teams. Owen would still tell his bear story. Duncan would still tell his horror story. Izzy would probably dress up as the chains man with a hook. Wouldn't scare Duncan, but everybody else gets scared. Now, originally in this episode, the Bass make it back first, and then Owen and the rest are still traced in a tree by a real bear. The Bass originally make it back first, but then lose the challenge because Katie and Sadie got lost. Now that Katie and Sadie aren't lost, I'm more inclined to believe that the Bass actually win this challenge. So the Gophers lose, and I think it's pretty obvious who's going home. Owen would get eliminated because the reason why is Owen scared them and told them that bear story, even though they weren't chased up by Izzy, they were still chased up by a bear in the tree. And I think Heather would probably wouldn't really need Owen's actual vote. I know she would see Gwen and Trent as an option, but I think she would rather get rid of Owen here, as I think Owen would have gone home had the Gophers actually lost this challenge. Episode 7, this is phobia factor. So this is who does what fears. Okay. Beth gets a point for her bug fear. Heather still gets a point for the sumo wrestler. Sadie and Lindsay get for bad haircuts. I assume Katie's fear will be the same, so she would get the point. Trent would get a point for his mind fear. Gwen gets a point for being buried alive. LaShawna would fail being buried alive as spiders, and Cody would fail the time bomb. Sadie's fear. Sadie passes. Bridget would be in the woods for 6 hours, so she would fail. Duncan would be hugging the cardboard, he'd pass. DJ touching the snake. Izzy's fear of flying, she would pass. Harold against ninjas, he would fail. Jeff would fail the ring count. Tyler fails his fear in the original, which I find bizarre, despite the fact he sits in a pen for 3 minutes by Chris. They just don't count it. But I have to stick to what originally happens, and he fails. And Courtney won't jump in the jelly. So, and the Gophers win this challenge. Which means Courtney costs him the challenge, but Tyler unfairly Tyler gets booted off. Which never makes any sense, but not a lot has really changed. So, unfortunately, Tyler's one of my favorite characters is still booted off. And again, I don't mind Courtney. Courtney's fine. But again, it's kind of she costs us a challenge, and yeah, she's still not voted off. But Tyler still gets voted off here. So episode 8, this is Up the Creek. So who do they pair with? Heather gets Lindsay to go with Trent. Gwen goes with Cody. He doesn't have that bet with Owen this time because Owen's not here. Heather and Lindsay, and that would leave Katie and LaShawna. So it would still be Bridget and Court. She'd take Sadie because she would be annoyed at Jeff for his gift. So there's that. I expect she'd still take Courtney. Then it would be DJ and Jeff. And this would leave Izzy, Duncan, and Harold in the boat of losers together. Now that would be quite interesting, seeing Duncan, Izzy, and Harold in a boat. Let me know in the comments what they would actually kind of talk about. That'd be interesting. So they arrive, like the original, Jeff would still get his injury. Harold burns the oars. But Izzy now, because she's on the bass, wouldn't give them the idea to swim back. Because she's on their team. So the bass would still win the challenge, as Izzy or DJ could just push their team back. So the Gophers win. The Gophers lose. So Heather still has her 4-person alliance. And Cody still tries to save Trent and Lindsay, so they get Ranley back. Trent and Gwen. So I think Cody's cool with Gwen and Trent at this point. I think he's happy to vote for Heather. The other 4, I think, would vote for... I think Heather would want to face... Who would she want to face? Someone easy? I think she'd probably vote for someone like Trent, just because she would see Gwen and Trent as a couple. No, she votes for LaShawna. So LaShawna and Heather would have to face a tiebreaker here. But Izzy still gets chased down by a CRMP. So which means after this challenge, it's an automatic elimination for Izzy, regardless of who wins and actually loses this challenge. So Izzy's eliminated. Episode 9's Paintball Deer Hunter. So, if you can't take the heat, the deers and the hunters, Cody's a deer, Trent, Gwen, LaShawna, Katie replaces Owen, Heather's a deer, and Katie replaces Owen as a hunter. On the bass, Bridget, hunter, Harold, hunter, Jeff, hunter. Everybody else is deer. So DJ would actually be really good at this challenge like he does with Bridget. Katie goes off by herself. She's probably with Lindsay and Beth. Beth would still stand up to LaShawna. Not LaShawna, Heather. About her getting the barbecue chips. Cody would still get mauled by a bear, which means that Cody would be removed from the game. Which is a shame. Episode 10. This part of the challenge is the rock climbing challenge. So we Duncan and Jeff, Gwen and Heather. Gwen and Heather get the point. Then it's the Wolfish, Trent and Lindsay, Bridget and Jeff. I think in the end Trent still get sent to the infirmary as a result. So then I think Katie and Heather. And Katie, I feel like, would probably tell Heather to jump too early. Harold and Bridget. So Harold would still get the point. And that would be Sadie and Courtney. LaShawn and Katie. So who would do worse in this challenge? So I think Katie would be better at this than Sadie because she's quite nimble, as she was seen in the dodgeball challenge. Then it would be LaShawn and Gwen, DJ and Duncan. Duncan would still lift his mask. Not Duncan. DJ would still lift his mask up, which means the Bass is still losing this challenge. And I've just realised I've talked about the wrong episode. Sorry about that. Episode 10's the cooking challenge. The pairs, Trent still gets knocked out. LaShawn and Gwen, Heather's locked in the freezer. So that means Beth would still rebel. Owen's not there to eat the ribs this time, which means I think the Gophers actually win the challenge. So they're messing with Harold. Does Harold rig the votes here against Duncan? No. I don't think Harold rigs the votes at this point with Duncan. I think Duncan convinces the guys, let's mess with Harold for one more week. And I think they vote off Sadie. Sadie's eliminated. Episode 11, Brian William Tell. I'll go through that quickly again because I just explained it. So basically the first part of the climbing, it's Gwen and Heather, DJ and Duncan. So they get the point. Blowfish, Trent and Lindsay, Jeff and Bridget. Trent gets still sent to the infirmary. Then Blind Trapeze, it would still be Bridget, Harold, Heather and Lindsay. Heather would still get sent to the infirmary. Blind Million Tell, Katie and Beth, Courtney and honestly probably Harold. I think Harold. So in the end I think Harold and Courtney would get that point. Wine Tobogganing, Gwen and LaShawna, DJ and Jeff. Duncan would still get DJ and New Bunny. Gophers are winning this challenge. I don't think Harold rigs the votes yet. I think it was one episode later, no chance. But I think at this point in the season, Harold's not at the point where he wants to rig the votes against Duncan. So I think everyone just actually... And Harold actually leaves this time, so everyone votes for Harold. Courtney probably votes for Duncan, DJ, because she's annoyed at him last challenge. But Duncan, DJ, and Jeff are in an alliance, so they would vote for Harold. Jeff likes Bridget, and Duncan likes Courtney, so Harold would be out. Episode 12 is Basic Straining. The first part of the challenge would be the dancing. Lindsay and Katie would probably tag out. Not the dancing, the canoe over the head. I think Jeff and Duncan would only do better in this challenge with Harold not being here, because they're not messing with him. The opposite, of course, I expect Beth not to do it. And everybody else would. And Bridget, we don't see where she fails, but I'm going to say that she probably fails about here. 300-word essay, I think DJ would fail. Duncan would still get sent to the outhouse. Trent would fail, and these are the final 6. So I'm assuming LaShawna must have failed at that point as well. So we know Heather and Duncan fall. Courtney would still lecture Chef. And Gwen would still win it for her team. So Jeff would still fall. So the Bass are losing the challenge. Does Duncan get rid of DJ, or will he go for a couple? Now, this is the first vote on the Bass I kind of struggle with, because I could see a situation where Duncan would vote off a couple. But I think Duncan, being a smart player, would know we can't have a couple in the finale. So Duncan and Courtney vote for probably Bridget votes. Bridget's friends with Courtney though. DJ is friends with Jeff. Courtney likes Duncan. I think DJ's in trouble. Out of the two, I think everyone, I'm concerned for DJ. He hasn't got a girl. He's not with anyone. I think Jeff and Duncan want to keep their girlfriends over DJ. So I'm sorry, DJ, but with the only possible person not vote for you is Jeff, the two girls will be alright, vote DJ. I probably think Bridget would vote for Duncan. Courtney would vote for DJ. Jeff wouldn't vote for DJ though, so she votes for Courtney. That's two Courtney. These two vote for DJ. DJ votes for Bridget, so I think DJ would be eliminated. So DJ's out. Episode 13. Extreme torture. So Trent would jump out the plane, and Bridget. I think Bridget would get the point because Trent still gets injured. So I think Bridget would get the point because Trent still get injured. The second part of the challenge, Moose riding, would still be Jeff and Lashawna. Lashawna still gets that point. The skiing challenge would be Lindsay and Duncan's driving. Lindsay will still get that point. But now it's when Heather's top comes off. Courtney wouldn't be distracted in the same way Harold was. So I think the Bass win this challenge. I think the Bass are winning it. Because it wouldn't have the same effect on Heather's top coming off on Courtney as it would on Harold. So, Gwen, Trent, Lashawna. Heather has her full personality. Beth has rebelled. And I think this is where Heather plays a bit dirty and insists that it has to be done. And she convinces Beth to reveal the statue. And I think Beth, having so much false determination, believing that it would help the rest of the team, reveals it. And because of this, everyone has no choice but to eliminate Beth. So Beth is eliminated. Episode 14. And this is the guys and girls. I probably think the girls win it, but it's a non-elimination. I think Duncan will actually make the guys alliance with Trent, as he realizes the girls are outnumbering him, and they need a counter. I probably think the girls win it because of Lashawna, but it's a non-elimination. Merge Day. This is the merge cast. The only difference in this merge is we have Katie instead of Owen, so that, and DJ. DJ's not in the merge. And we have Katie and Courtney. Bye-bye Bass. Bye-bye Gophers. So Eva would still return. And Izzy, as there's no reason for me to believe that the same people wouldn't return. So games. This is the episode where Eva would still eliminated. Katie and Courtney wouldn't do that. Katie wouldn't do that good here. Courtney wouldn't do that well here. Like, even if Courtney also wins immunity, I just think I'm going to vote off Eva because she's the biggest threat. And I don't think there's anyone on the team that has a bigger target on their back than Eva. So Eva's still voted off. Episode 16. This is the episode where Heather kisses Trent and gets her immunity pass. This would still work. So Trent gets kissed by Heather. Duncan has the guys alliance. And because Duncan would also make a former Killer Bass alliance, because there's only one other guy. And unlike Owen, who in this episode wasn't able to keep it a secret, because there's no Owen in this alliance, everyone's actually able to keep it a secret. So, but Trent would ask Duncan could he bring Gwen to the alliance, and I think Duncan would agree, because again, Duncan's cool with Gwen. So, that's 6, 7. So, because Heather kisses Trent, everyone gangs on him again, he gets voted off. And let me explain why I don't think Heather would go for one of the other couples. And we have Duncan. So I want to put the couples together and explain why I think Heather wouldn't go for somebody else instead of Trent. So I think Duncan would be too smart for Heather to trick him when she says, Courtney said that she hates you, and Duncan would say, yeah, right. Because I think Trent's more of a gullible person in Heather's eyes. And she didn't originally go for Jeff. I don't know why, but I'm not going to change that. But let me know in the comments. I might make that a what if she went for some, like, Jeff instead. That would be interesting. So Trent is still eliminated. Episode 17. Pretty mad, Katie's in merge. So episode 17, this is Hide Me Sneaky. So this is where Bridget goes, because Duncan makes the guys alliance. So I think LaShawna and Heather would still win immunity. I don't see Katie being able to beat them with Courtney. And LaShawna would still win. And actually, DJ's not on the roof this time. And neither's Owen. So Heather doesn't win immunity. Because she never calls them out. So I know at this point he wanted to get rid of Bridget, but I think Duncan would realise getting rid of Bridget at this point would not be a good quality move by him. So I think Heather's alliance, I'm going to target Courtney. LaShawna, Heather, and Gwen are going to vote for Heather. I think Duncan's going to get his little four-person alliance to target Heather. So I think Heather would get eliminated after that stunt pull by Trent. But you could disagree with that in the comments, say Heather still gets immunity if, like, maybe Katie's on the roof, but it's very hard for me to say Katie would just be on the roof. And I think here, because there's no Owen or DJ, as that was where they were hiding, I just think Heather's winning it, not surviving this challenge. So LaShawna would still win with her hiding spot. So Heather's out. Episode 18. Now these next two episodes were very difficult to decide who gets eliminated, because I have to account who wasn't here originally. So I just hope you guys appreciate this part, because obviously when I do these, episode 18, 19 could go anyway. So Anna and Izzy are still off the entire episode. Katie can make a bike. So we know that Jeff wouldn't forget the bolts this time because Bridget's here. Gwen would wipe out. So we know that Jeff and Duncan, I feel like Duncan would crash into Jeff, so they wipe out. Lindsay's the only person that I could see possibly crossing the finish line, though, as she was really good in the original and would have crossed had Heather not tricked her. So Lindsay was winning this challenge. Up here just means that they've qualified and passed the second round. So Bridget, Courtney, and Katie. Now I actually think that Bridget could potentially finish this race, because one of the reasons why Duncan is threatened by her in the original timeline, the Guys Alliance, is because that she's a surfer, so naturally she has to have a really good balance. So I think Bridget would cross. Now it's between Courtney and Katie. So could Courtney complete the race? Probably not. She was riding a tricycle. I know it's a bit different to a bike, and she was distracted with arguing with Duncan, but I think Courtney would wipe out. So Katie would cross the finish line, which means after this challenge, Katie is unfairly booted off. So if Izzy never swapped teams, Katie would have gone episode 18, which is pretty bizarre. It's funny how Heather went out before Katie. Episode 19 is Hook, Line, Screamer. Okay, so Gwen would still tell the advice. Jeff goes to the ice cream, he's gone. I don't think Bridget would be that good here. I think Izzy wouldn't be from my own, but I expect her to get caught. Courtney's with Duncan. Lindsay and LaShawna probably get caught together. Gwen would still be tricked by Duncan, so he would fight the fake chef. Courtney probably gone. So Gwen would win immunity. And even if she didn't, Courtney's tougher than Gwen. But people can run away scared, but do I think anyone would perform as badly as DJ did? My answer is no. So how do we decide who leaves it? I think now we would have to have a traditional vote to decide who gets eliminated. But I think Lashana would be heavy and would kind of notice those four are very close. And I think Lashana would realise they're probably in an alliance. So she convinces Lindsay and Izzy to vote them off because Lindsay's trying to have a stray puppy and Izzy likes Lashana. So I think Izzy would accept to vote with them. So who would they want to vote for here? I think the four would vote for Izzy. And Courtney, Lashana, Gwen, Lindsay, and Izzy probably vote for Bridget. So in a Bridget-Izzy tiebreaker, actually, I think Lindsay would probably have the worst Bridget tie. Izzy tie, I think Bridget's going home. Now, feel free to be annoyed and I had no reason for this to happen, but I had no way of deciding who would have gone home here because it was an automatic elimination challenge. So I can't say for certain who would have had the worst death. Maybe Lindsay, but I don't think anyone would perform as DJ did without even facing the real psycho killer. Episode 20. Partner gone wild. Courtney just replaces Heather. So I think Gwen would still win the challenge because the meal's the prize. But Izzy doesn't shoot Heather in this timeline. Duncan and Courtney are together and trying to figure out who they should vote for next. And I think Lashana goes to Lindsay and Gwen and says we have to get rid of Duncan and Courtney because they're a couple. And I think they choose to get rid of Courtney because Courtney's the bigger threat of the two. And she's really good at challenges. So these three vote for Courtney, these three vote for Lashana. Izzy's the swing vote. I think she votes for Courtney. Courtney's out. So Courtney would have came 7th place, which is pretty crazy. Episode 21. This is Trial by Triathlon. So it's still Lashana and Duncan, Gwen and Jeff, Lindsay and Izzy. So, at this point, the first part of the challenge is force feeding your partner. I expect that Duncan and Lashana would now win this part of the challenge. The second part of the challenge would be bringing the cure statue back to Boney Island. I think Gwen and Jeff would still win it. The third part would finally be remembering the elimination order of the contestants. Lashana and Duncan originally won that challenge, so they get 2 points. So they win immunity. But would Duncan betray Jeff here? He never voted for Bridget. I don't think Duncan would. But I think it comes down to a popularity contest. So, here, would Jeff get screwed over again? And I think Jeff would. Not a lot has really changed. So Jeff was still eliminated. Jeff's out. Episode 22, Lashana still goes. Episode 23 is nobody finds Mr. Coconut, and then that's non-elimination. Episode 24. So episode 24. Because the pairs are so different now, I decided to spin a wheel to decide who they'd go with. Because obviously it's not guys versus girls now, so Duncan will have to go with one of the girls, but I'll spin a wheel to decide who goes about pairs. Is the wheel, and here we go. Gwen. So who goes with Gwen? Lindsay, Duncan, or Izzy? Lindsay. Okay. Could be anyone, but in this case, I'm going to say it's Gwen and Lindsay and Duncan and Izzy. So Duncan originally has a map, but then he gets stolen by Heather. I think Izzy would be pretty good and Duncan would be a pretty good team here. Obviously, they'd be quite good at this challenge. Gwen and Lindsay would be alright. And Izzy's also really smart, and she'd be very good in the woods. So I feel like her and Duncan would do quite well in this challenge. So it's very close to getting to the finish. Nobody is sabotaging each other. It's just a race at the end, really. And I think Duncan and Izzy actually win the challenge. But this is where Chef chooses who to eliminate. And I think Chef would choose to eliminate Lindsay, as he has that respect for Gwen here, winning the challenge in episode 12, basic training. So I think Lindsay gets booted off. So Lindsay would have came 4th in this timeline. Episode 25, this is I Triple Dog Dare You. So, no, I don't know what dares they would have gotten. But the dares wouldn't be around Owen this time. So I'll keep that in mind. So who would tag out first? Gwen drank hard on toilet. Duncan's pretty tough. Izzy's crazy. I think Izzy's getting to the end. There's no way Izzy's not getting to the end. And out of the two, I think Duncan would tag out first because Gwen drank hard of a toilet. So I think, but Gwen and Duncan bring the worst out of each other. But I imagine that Gwen would want to probably face Izzy. So Izzy's not losing this challenge. I think Duncan would tag out first. So Duncan's eliminated. But you could say that Gwen tagged out first. She could just give up, which is fair enough, but I think it would be Duncan. So they each get winning endings. Gwen and Izzy are the finalists of the season. So they're both able to climb the balance beam. So I probably think more people are supporting Gwen here than Izzy. Izzy would probably only have either Owen, maybe Noah, maybe Lindsay, and maybe Heather, but they get race to the end. They balance on the beams. They race to the end. And my winner, I'm not sure Izzy or Gwen. Probably I give it to Gwen. I feel like Gwen probably deserves this in this timeline. But I really do like Izzy because I do like the East Coast gang and the 3 of my favourite characters, so I probably would give it to them. And Gwen's also my favourites as well, so it's hard to say, but I think I give it to Gwen here. But thank you guys for watching. This is the elimination order and how I think the season would have gone if Katie and Izzy never swapped teams. And yeah, comment, like, subscribe, and let me know other what ifs in the comments for Total Drama. Let me know in the comments if there's any of the Total Drama what ifs you want me to do. Also, if there's a Discourage Camp what ifs, let me suggest them as well, as I started doing them on the channel. And even just what ifs in general, if you want me to cover any other what ifs I can give it a try. So thank you guys for watching, have a nice day, and yeah, thank you for your suggestion. Peace, farewell.